Monitor's up. Checkity check, check.
Check, check, check.
Screen should change when my voice comes in. Got it?
Check, check, check.
Hey everybody, it's Rob. We're just about to get started with this week's episode. Less than 10 minutes left. While you got a couple of minutes here, why don't you go check out odanthem.com. It's where you can find everything OD Anthem, including the merch store, the podcast, and all of the videos. Open up a new tab.
Anchor.fm/OD Anthem is the place where you can get direct links to all the podcatchers you use to listen to our show every week.
Did you know we record every episode live on Facebook? Of course you do. But make sure that you're liking the page and turning on notifications so you get notified when we go live.
We make a ton of video content between the podcast, the short films, Hero Ticks. YouTube.com/OD Anthem is the place for it all.
And of course you can find me on any social network at Robert N. Cheek.
And me at LegendCB5.
And you can find the podcast at OD Anthem on all your social networks.
What bothers me so much, now we're into the coronavirus talk. What bothers me so much is that nobody has the foresight of what could possibly go wrong next week.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, on the podcast, make a concerted effort to predict what's going to happen in the next week. Because, number one, it never looks good.
No.
Even if you're mostly right. Like, people are still going to find that one part of it you were wrong on
1%.
and call you on that shit.
Yep.
But and, you know, if you're calling something like, oh, the election's next week, who do I think will win? That's a little bit of a different thing than what we're talking about here.
Joe
but,
Biden,
like,
by the way.
Trump was having statements saying, you know, like a week ago, like, oh, we're handling this flawlessly. There's 15 cases, like, in this place. And I imagine next week they're going to be 7. And the week after that, it'll be 0. As soon as they get warm, the virus is going to go away and everything like that.
Listen, if he had been able to...
Batman and Batgirl in the darkness of night. Batman, I need you now more than I've ever needed you before. I'm lost and I don't know what to do. Everything is just so cruel. I don't know how I can continue on like this. I'm losing faith. What kind of just world would befall this on me? If you're out there, give me a sign.
What is it?
Batman?
Yes.
Hold on. Like the real Batman?
One must not worship false idols. You either die the hero or live to become the villain.
Should I treat this like confessional then?
if you want the proper justice.
Well, a couple things have happened the last couple of days. Should I start from the end? I took the hero's name in vain.
What did you say?
Dick Tap Dancing Grayson.
Why?
Well, I was really angry and upset and vengeful. I didn't really mean to say it.
What was the context?
I was in the alley and some guy robbed and murdered my parents, so I just let it out. Dick Tap Dancing Grayson, why did you have to kill my parents?
I can relate.
Also, I had premarital sex. Several times.
How long has it been?
Last night.
Since your last confession?
Oh, I don't know. Something like 03?
More than a decade?
Well, I'm sorry. I've been really busy and Sunday football is on.
This doesn't help your penance.
Church is boring. I hate getting dressed up, and honestly, it's my only day to sleep in.
Do you smoke or do illicit drugs?
Do you?
No!
Then of course I don't. Why would I?
Why did you pray for me today?
Because, I don't know. I'm worried about the fate of our fair city. I'm worried people will lose like I've lost. I want to be the watchful eye and doer of good. But would you believe I'm scared of dying and going to Arkham with the Joker?
All right. She prayed, which is a step in the right direction. She is, however, wretched.
I'll be like, all right, well,
Right.
I'm going to make a phone call now. I just want to let you know that there's a convenience fee for me doing this. It'll cost you $5,000. And also, even though it is after 8 o'clock and this call is technically free, I still have to pay for a cell phone bill. So I'm going to have to ask for a handling fee of $10,000. He's like, whatever you want. He just throws checks out the window. He's like, just do it. I gotta get out of here. I have to see Squirrel Nut Zippers.
Yeah.
And then I'll just be like, all right, 9. Shit, what is that number? God damn it, it's right on the top of my... It's like 911. It's like, hold on a second. Hold on.
I'm trying to call them. I just
Listen.
need to remember the number.
Let me text Rob. He'll know this.
Need to exist. For what reason? I don't understand.
Oh, because it's an industry, and if we get rid of insurance companies, then all the people who work at insurance companies are going to go have to find other work. And all the people who work at doctors' offices, and blah, 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 blah. I never heard anybody talking this much about Blockbuster when it was about to go up.
First of all, where was the bailout for Blockbuster? Okay, because...
It's like, hey, this is a horrible idea, and it's surely going to go out of business on its own, but we should probably save it because Blockbuster.
'Cause people work here.
We all remember how great it was when Blockbuster was the game in town.
And, you know, there's nothing better than going and talking to Chet, who's like the
Yeah.
60-year-old guy who works at the Blockbuster, who's seen every movie.
Yeah,
You're like,
and
hey,
he-
Chet, what do you want to watch?
Yeah, and the guy who knows what you like.
Yes.
Like the guy you and Chet are right on the same page with movies.
And he's like,
So
listen,
when Chet tells me something I want to see, I know I want to see it.
you're not going to see this in any of the newspapers. You're not going to see this on TV, but there's a new flick out, Lobster.
Yeah.
You need to go see this thing.
It's like, what's it about? No.
Don't. It's going to sound stupid if I tell you.
I don't want to tell you. You just gotta watch. You just gotta trust me on this one. I'd be like, oh, all right. Then I come back with the VCR or the VHS tape, and I'm like, Chet, you're a genius.
Where's the bailout for Chet? Okay.
Where-
This week on the Oh, the Anthem podcast. Corona. Yeah, it's out there. You got to be careful. But before we talk about that, we are going to talk about a little sports ball. The NFL, responding to Corona in the way that they would. Tom Brady, not responding to Corona, but responding to, just the way that everyone in New England responds to retirement. We got a little bit in for your consideration, how it's impacting our lives, Corona, and, more Corona news down in the news section. Talking a lot about Corona, politics, Trump and Corona. Hey, so we got a lot to talk about. It's all in the news. All that's coming up right now on the Odie Anthem podcast.
I want to go outside. This is Corey, and this is the Anthem podcast.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's Rob. Welcome to episode 311 of the The Anthem podcast, coming to you from the hashtag OTA LA studios, high above the 110 freeway in downtown Los Angeles, California. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you for listening on your podcatcher of choice. The easiest way, anchor.fm/Oh the Anthem. It's the best way to listen to us wherever you may find us.
Absolutely.
On whatever podcatcher you may use.
Almost forgot to button up. Sorry about that, Corey.
It's going to be hard for people to hear you like that.
This is how you go out in LA now, by the way.
I see so many people wearing surgical masks and gloves and
Just a little
picking
education.
up dog shit.
Well, education for everybody. This makes me look like Sub-Zero. So there is a cool factor on top of it.
Yeah.
Also, it has an activated charcoal filter on the inside with vents that vent through the charcoal. This is what you call an N95P 2.5 mask, which means that it stops all particles that are greater than 2.5 microns, and it has a standard. It stops 95% of the things that would come in. This will keep you safe from a virus.
And Rob purchased it way before people started purchasing their Corona-related materials. So
That's right, because Rob had to take a flight in January, and I think there were maybe 4 cases at that point, and I was like, Rob ain't no dummy. I ain't gonna take the chance of Corona. And all of that preparation brought me to this point in my life where I'm like 90% sure I have Corona. So that's how that works.
I'm hoping that you just have a awful cold.
Yes, that would be amazing. Have you ever prayed for the flu? Because I'm praying for the flu. But before we get into all of that, of course, we want to make our first stop a little discussion about sports ball. And of course, update. Live sports on television. Corey?
No.
No. All right. Well, you'd think we wouldn't have much to talk about, but
it's funny. All the sports podcasts I've listened to recently have been talking about old games that they're showing. Like it's like, hey, did you see that the World Series Game 7 Mets Red Sox was on TV the other day? I watched that for a little while. That was fun.
MLB 2020 glitches are getting a lot of play on baseball Twitter.
Man, that Orioles player is just staring daggers at that girl.
What player was it supposed to be?
I don't think it's supposed to be any player in particular. I think it's just sort of like generic Oriole on bench.
I was trying to figure out. I'm like, I don't even know who on the team that would be. Like Aubrey Huff, he doesn't play for us anymore. Like, what guy looks like a Nazi youth? I don't know, but yeah. If you haven't seen it,
the only thing missing is like the tongue out, going like, mwah.
Yeah, very, very it puts the lotion in the basket, kind of creepy. And was that supposed to be Amber Theo Harris, by the way?
No, it's supposed to be just like whatever apparently they have a sideline reporter in MLB The Show now. I don't know. I haven't gotten it yet, so I don't know. I don't know what. Maybe I'll get sick and then I'll just be like, I'm just gonna play video games all day.
as opposed to like, I just I feel like playing video games all
It's
day.
Tuesday.
But yeah, so so it's just a generic, again, made up character in the game.
Well, I'm sure it's a real person.
Yeah,
like
well.
the sideline reporter.
Yeah.
Like, but I don't know who it is in particular.
Okay.
So
It did look a little like Amber Theo Harris, though, right?
I think
am
all
off?
of them kind of look like Amber. I think that's the type. Yeah.
Maybe. But she was an Orioles reporter who then got knocked up to the big leagues, and she's on MLB.
NFL Network.
That's right,
Yeah.
NFL Network now. Yeah. Congratulations, Amber.
3 years later, 5 years later, whatever the case may be.
Her contract's up. She's actually not back for 2020. And speaking of people whose contracts...
You always know when somebody's when somebody has broken through to some level when you're talking about them. Like, it's like, hey, you remember when Amber Theo Harris was on Masson? That was great. Just like I was having a thing about like thinking about like whenever Jane Miller decides to hang him up one day.
Yeah.
And it's just like somebody's gonna be watching TV going like, you're not Jane Miller.
I have been listening to...
Why aren't you Jane Miller and why aren't you talking like her?
There's a podcast about Atlanta, the Atlanta child killer. It's called Monster. Anyway, third season is about the DC sniper.
Yeah.
And it's so weird because what's his name? God, now his name escapes me. But he's a reporter in DC, and I always knew him as like, oh, the guy you see on TV at 7 p.m. because
Right.
he was that guy. And he reported on it. Now he's on CNN, and he's like that, not their night guy, but he's like their Phil guy. So relative fame, you know, given that people are going to be working from home a lot.
Yeah.
And so he's on this podcast. And I'm like, I know you. Tony Harris
Okay.
from WBAC or WABC in DC. But anyway, his voice is so comforting. And now when I listen to the podcast, I'm like, I remember why I watched ABC 2 News. Because it was so comforting.
I think
that
that's
voice.
why I like Ken Burns baseball so much.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah, just the comforting voice
Yeah.
to take you to a nice place. But
Nothing like the sport of baseball.
if Corey hadn't stepped on my transition, let's go back to that and say, someone else whose contract might not have been renewed, and in fact wasn't, Tom Brady.
Yes.
No longer a New England Patriot. So sad. Sad. I just think of that the meme,
1,000 angels teardrops falling upon New England.
Zombieland 2 meme of Woody Harrelson just like just money just drying his eyes. Yeah. So we won't have to deal with Tom in New England anymore. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have decided to give him a go at 39 years old.
I like the I follow a Bucks fan on Insta, and he posted on his story, if you're not with us when we're 7-9, don't be with us when we're 8-8.
Now, see, I would like to think that Tom has a bigger impact than that. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, like I would. It feels an awful lot like the type of move that a team makes every once in a while when they're just like, "Fuck it, we're in." Like, like when Alex Rodriguez went to the Rangers, and it's just like, "Fuck it, we'll figure it out later." We got Alex Rodriguez. Like the Bucks, who have been for their entirety like hopeless, have like finally signed Tom Brady. And it feels like they're just with that one act, an air of legitimacy has come across the.
I think it's also the balance of like knowing that he might not be the form of Tom Brady that he was 10 years ago.
Right.
But he's also not Jameis Winston, who you have no idea who's going to show up on Sunday. Like, is the college quarterback going to show up, or is the professional NFL game-playing quarterback
He's going to
show
throw
up?
5,000 yards. I just don't know how it's going to happen.
Yeah, 4 interceptions for 470 yards. So I think there's a level of that. And by the way, they're in the NFC South, right?
Yeah.
Where a 9-7 might get you in the playoffs. So
Yeah, I mean, like, really, you got the Saints.
Yeah.
And I don't think the Panthers are going to be very good this year, and I don't think the Falcons will be as good. I mean, like, I think they'll be better than they were last year, but I don't think the Falcons are like playoff worthy.
Even
So
with Todd Gurley?
I mean, I think that he's not quite the girly he used to be, if you will.
I saw a good meme that was like total points scored in a Super Bowl, because it had now the Falcons are putting out the Todd Gurley's on all their promotional stuff. And it's like 28, and it's circling Matt Ryan and Julio Jones, and then 3 circling Matt. So it's like, hey, we can get it up to 31 now. Yay.
The one that is really kind of confusing me at the moment is like, I just don't get why Todd Gurley, like, I get why he like signed with Atlanta and stuff like that. I'm like still flabbergasted by why the Rams gave him all that money and then cut him like a season later. Like,
I mean, maybe
they had time to they didn't have to sign him to that extension right then. And
you know who else didn't have to sign someone to an extension? The Orioles did not have to sign Chris Davis, and yet they did, and we are paying the price for that.
Yeah,
and
but
we should cut him. Cut him.
You know what?
Be done with it.
You know what? I've been wanting to say this for a little while. We have to ride with the highs and the lows of this.
True.
So I'm just gonna put it out there. Chris Davis has not gotten hit in weeks, and I'm not of the mind to keep him on the roster if he's going to continue doing this. I mean, it looked promising for a little while. He was getting hits on a consistent basis, but like it's literally been like 3 weeks since he last got a hit.
I mean, I think more important than that is that he's not even showing up for work anymore.
I know.
At least we could say the at bat, he's going up, he's taking swings, it's bad. No, now he's not even showing up for work.
Getting all fat and happy at home.
But yeah, speaking of fat and happy players, maybe unhappy players, Tom Brady in Tampa Bay. Do you think he went for the money, or did he go because he just wanted to keep playing and Belichick was like, no, you're done?
Well, I don't think that Belichick necessarily said you're done. I just think that Belichick has this thing where like he doesn't want to pay for past performance.
Yeah.
And for a long time, I think he was able to sort of keep Brady close by being like, listen, stay with me and you could just be the best quarterback ever in the history of the NFL and win all these Super Bowls. And Tom Brady's like, all right, well, I guess that's worth it for me to sign $10 million a year. And like everyone else is getting like Flacco's like doubling up his contract and stuff like that.
But Tom Brady's also getting sponsorship deals that Flacco's
and I mean
not.
like Flacco's and Brady's making money for sure beyond the contract that he makes. But
Gucci
I'm saying like,
and Maritime Bank or whatever that bank, not equal.
But the First Mariner
Bank, that's what it is.
First Mariner Bank.
Hi, I'm Joe Flacco.
I don't know why you gave him a Baltimore accent.
Oh, that's right. He's got the Delaware. I always just think I think of Joe with that dumbass Dundalk accent. I cannot think of anything else. Just his face makes me think of a Dundalk accent.
The Delaware accent is just as boring as Delaware is. It's, hi, my name's Joe Flacco.
As if he's reading a script on the First Mariner commercial. Hi, I'm Joe Flacco. First Mariner Bank makes me excited about life.
I'm Joe Flacco. Do you like hookers and cocaine? I do.
They have First Mariner has convenient ATMs all over the city where you can get right before you meet your drug dealer or go to a strip club. Join First Mariner Bank and become a VIP like me.
Look at all these locations.
First Mariner Bank.
No, but I mean, like, I think that Tom was like, hey, listen, this is my last chance to get paid. Mm-hmm. So if you want me to stay with your team, I would like to, but I would like to get paid.
Yes.
And then he knew that wasn't going to happen.
Yes.
So Belichick was like, all right, we'll see ya. And I think this is both an opportunity for Brady and Belichick. I think this is secretly what they both wanted.
Yes. Can we win without the other?
Yeah, I think they both want to prove to each other that they could win without the other. And I think, there would have been discussion of Belichick retiring maybe at some point, but now I feel like he sort of like works his way through a couple more seasons to try and like...
I'm going to build another team, and I'm going to take him to the Super Bowl without Tom Brady.
I'm going to sign Matt Leinart and make him my starting quarterback. Matt Leinart hasn't played in the league in 15 years.
Yeah, there's a guy...
Sounds like quite a challenge.
There's a guy in L.A. named Corey. Bought that Liner jersey. Really want to make him proud.
Didn't want to make him feel like an idiot.
That is a true story, correct? You do in fact, have a Matt Liner jersey? Yeah. Rushed out and bought it. Thought it was going to be the star.
Well, no, it was a for whatever reason I got into it with somebody. I was like, I don't know why all these teams sign these awful quarterbacks. Like I can see so clearly. Like every draft, I'm like, not Ryan Leaf, Peyton Manning. Like I'm picking winners left and right. And then I was just like, there's no way Matt Leinart doesn't succeed in the NFL.
Yep.
And then it was just like this going back and forth with whoever the other quarterback in that draft was.
Also not playing in the NFL.
Like, I'm going to buy the fucking jersey. That's how much.
That did not pan out as planned. Although you could wear it wherever he's going to be, broadcasting.
Well, now Roberto has a jersey he can wear when he wants to go watch football with us. The Cardinals fan doesn't have a Cardinals jersey. Who does? Corey.
Yes. For reasons that defy explanation. So one other thing in sports ball this week, and
It was also during my dumb years, just as a thing. Like it was like I just paid off a credit card and I had a $0 balance, and I was like, "Why not buy a jersey?
I got a $250 max. I can afford it." But one other thing for sports ball before we let this get out of control, and that is the NFL once again got one over. Although we didn't really, I think we said it when it happened. Like, I feel like there's something in this CBA.
I don't think we even talked about it. We because it was right in the middle of all the madness of the last couple weeks.
No,
like,
I feel like because I almost explicitly remember you saying they agreed to this too quickly. There is something in here is going to screw over the players, and I was just like, oh, I mean, I guess we'll see. And then 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, now here we are, and essentially what the NFL teams are doing are putting clauses which are not. I don't want to say it's bad. It's not a bad clause, but the player has to pass the physical whenever the physical can be given to him. Mm-hmm. So there's players who are signing right now, Tom Brady.
Right. Todd Gurley.
Yeah, Todd Gurley, who cannot be given a physical right now because the teams are also saying, hey, coronavirus, we're not having people come in. So don't
fly to Tampa.
Right. But they are paying the signing bonuses that are agreed to because contractually the CBA says we have to pay them on signing. However, they're saying if you don't pass the physical at whatever point we decide to give you one, you owe us that money back. Now, we'll still owe you the contracted amount for the years, but we don't owe you the signing bonus. And there is no allocation for like, hey, if the whole season is delayed and you get in a car accident somewhere, that you would still keep your signing bonus money. So again, I think it's one of those things where like a seasoned negotiator might have thought ahead and gotten that. And someone like, I don't know, Corey, who said, something ain't right about this agreement. They came back and approved that way too fast.
I mean, I think the overall problem is that like, and whenever we've talked about labor negotiations in sports, it's usually two people who everyone in the world hates going up against one another. It's Bud Selig and Donald Fair, or like, it's just like it might as well be Hitler versus Hitler. Like it just feels like you're picking the two worst people, and like you don't want to root for either one of them in the standstill, right?
Yeah.
Because like even though like I like to think of myself as like pro player over ownership, there's still like a part of me like I don't want Fair to win though. Kind of want his stupid face to be rubbed in it.
Well, I mean, I think
DeMaurice Smith, who is the NFL Players Association rep and like does is the head of their negotiating and stuff like that. Like, just like every single time there's a new contract, it seems like he runs in there like, I'm just so excited to be in the room. Like
stop that.
Don't do that.
Yeah, I feel like whenever, no matter how much pro player, whatever the organization is, that you still are like, I don't like the people who are on TV. I like J.J. Watt. He was very vocal about his position when it comes to the collective bargaining agreement and the way that the union is running itself. But I don't ever see J.J. Watt being like, you know what? Now put me up. I'll go be one of the reps in the.
Well, I think there's like a certain number of player reps who are like voted on, but like DeMaurice Smith is just like the head of the players union.
Yes,
and he's like long retired, so
and I mean that's
sort of a full-time job you have to have. You can't be starting left outside linebacker for the Texans and head of the NFLPA.
I mean, I think that you could. He's a talented guy, Corey. Why are you questioning what J.J. Watt could do?
You think he's too dumb for the role?
I mean,
is that what you said? He's an awfully large man. I don't know why you would make fun of him like that.
Judging based on the commercials I've seen in quarantine recently, he's got a brother named TJ and another one named Derek, who I didn't even know existed.
Yeah.
Derek likes a very unique sandwich, apparently. I don't really know what that's about. But it's one of those things where you don't want to cheer for anyone. You want to cheer for the players.
I feel so sorry for the Watts mother. It's like the thing from Family Guy where it's like giving birth to the 18
elephant child born. But maybe they were small babies. You don't know. Maybe they gave them all HGH when they were kids. You can't tell. Who's to say?
This baby's too small. Where's the HGH? We don't usually recommend that for infants, but
pump them up.
These guys look like they might be football players. So.
But
just this once.
It's one of those things where you don't want to cheer for anybody because you don't like any of the reps. We're going to talk about DC in a little bit, and that's basically it too. You don't want to cheer for any of these crappy sides. But the NFL will always get my ire. It does. I mean, just you have a monopoly, and the owners are just like the worst ever. But then they turn it on. Because it's like the ticket prices. inevitably come down to player salaries, right? Like that's the way that the owners make us feel.
Well, so all the money that the NFL gets sort of goes into a pot,
Right.
and the a certain percentage of the ticket costs is to the individual teams, and then a certain percent goes towards like salaries and stuff like that, and then the TV contracts also go towards the salaries. But basically, how it works out is the NFL Players Association had 47% to the NFL's 53% before, and now it's 48-52.
But it's a multi-billion-dollar business, so where 1% means a lot of money.
Yeah, and I mean, like, they're about to renew the TV rights soon. So, the salary cap number, which they have right now, which is based off of the fluctuating operating budget of the NFL, and almost always goes up, is going to go up tremendously here in the next couple years, probably, because a new contract will come out. And you'll say, like, oh, wow, there's an extra $50 million in the salary cap, but that also means that's another $50 million for each one of the owners.
Yeah. And, I mean, of course, they're going to give that to the players to play an extra game every for the year.
To be fair, that part was negotiated to all the contracts will change to, make it easy. If you were signed for $16 million a year, you would normally get $1 million for each game check.
Yes.
Under the logic where we're now going to have 17 games, you would just have your amount changed to 17 million.
Yes.
So,
and every new contract has to be drafted with the anticipation that there might be an extra game down the road. So,
yeah.
Anyway, so that here, let me get back to that. That's oh wait, I didn't select it yet, but that's Sports Ball for us. And just hold on before we're done with the splash. Let me grab that for your consideration.
We're not allowed to go outside.
Oh, it's a new excuse every single week with this guy.
I was listening to Boris Johnson earlier, and he was just like, we're now recommending that people don't get together in groups bigger than 2. And I'm just like, it's not quite a group. It's more like a pair.
Also, not sure that would stop anything, because I feel like that just means that like pairs are going to start pairing up, and then that just spreads it faster.
Triangulate.
Yeah, it's just like I'm going to go hang out with this friend, and then I'll go hang out with that friend, because we all 3 can't hang out together, and we might all 3 hang out 4 or 5 feet away from each other, but instead we're all going to just be one-on-one, doing that. What do we see in Blade Runner? The acting space, which is not real personal space. Like, hey, how are you doing?
Yeah, we were rewatching Blade Runner last night, and there was a scene where it looked really good on the way that it was positioned on the screen, but then
framed perfectly. Yeah.
But then you realize that in real life, the 2 actors were probably like 6 inches apart from one another, trying to act like they were like a foot and a half apart.
Yeah,
like a normal amount of distance.
It's just like, oh man, that had to be uncomfortably close.
Again, it looks great on camera. You never know the difference, but
that's the point.
At the moment, the 2 of them were whispering sweet nothings into each other's faces.
Except for Harrison Ford, he doesn't wear a lab, so he is not whispering anything. It's like, we need you to project. Yeah.
Talking loudly into the studio later when they're re-recording his dialogue.
But maybe a little bit of, in all of this negativity, we got one bit of positive news that we can share and for your consideration this week.
Yeah.
Harvey Weinstein has corona. So
my question now is, how do I get Corona's PR team? Because they're really doing everything they can to try and switch the public opinion on this, aren't they?
Well, see, they went to Tom Hanks first, and then they were like, we miscalculated. We misjudged this issue. Let's find somebody else.
Fuck you, Corona. It's like, oh, we got Weinstein, too. It's like, all right, maybe he ain't so bad.
Wait, I get to work from home. Weinstein's got it. Yeah, this could be all right. I don't really think it's so horrible. And as long as you're a person in your 30s, all it really does is make you feel like shit for a couple days. So,
whereas if you're a raping scumbag, then it has really terrible.
In a very cold and drafty prison, could be bad for you. Yes.
I wonder almost if somebody like slipped him a little Corona, thinking that like maybe this will get him out of like Rikers for a little while. Like
I was thinking the opposite, that it was like it was a jailhouse hit. They get the guy with Corona coughing on his plate before they slide it through the glass.
Just like when you shiv somebody, it's just somebody with like a hypodermic needle with Corona in it. It's just like fuck you.
Transmission's even easier. You walk up to him and just like like, oh, he got me. Oh.
I'm gonna kill your mother.
which is exactly what Weinstein would say. But yeah, so that one bright spot that he's a 70-year-old man, right? Late
something
60s,
like that.
early 70s.
67, I think.
And he is not in the best of health, and he is also in a very formidable healthcare environment. So, could be bad. So, fingers crossed.
We'll see. We'll circle around on that one.
But more closer to home, we finally have been so personally impacted by Corona that I feel like I have to shift my entire worldview now, because we were looking for things to do this week, and there wasn't a lot to do.
No.
Our go-tos are food and movies, and
Both of them have been taken away from us.
yes. To the point that sometimes we order the food and it says it's being cooked and it says it's being delivered and the place wasn't open to begin with. But most importantly to me, at least, last week on Tuesday and Wednesday, I guess, for all of the chains, but all of the movie chains nationally said they were closing their doors for at least 6 weeks to make sure that they weren't making the problem worse rather than better.
Yeah.
And you didn't go with us when we went to see Bloodshot on Saturday morning.
No.
But they were enforcing social distancing at that point, where it was just like they could see the pairs or the triplets of people together, and they're just being like, "Hey, we'd like to invite you to move further down the row. Like, clearly these three are together, you three are not. Let's spread it out a little bit since we have space."
You know what? Honestly, I wouldn't mind if that carried on.
Yes.
I know they put these seats right next to each other, but I wouldn't mind a little bit of space.
I'm down. I mean, honestly,
I like it personally.
Could they have stayed open if they just removed some of the seats or just like marked them off and like, hey, no groups bigger than 4?
You go to a theater in England, it's just 2 seats.
Yeah, just 2 seats in the whole theater. Just,
I was wondering it was sold out.
Personal viewing experience. I enjoy. But a side note to that is that in the heart of the best part of movie season, March.
Where all the hot properties come out.
When you think of the hot properties in movies, you think of March. But unfortunately, a lot of movies are having to adjust. James Bond has been pushed indefinitely. Yep. Fast and the Furious has been pushed 1 entire year. Mm-hmm. And a lot of movies are now not being pulled because there's nowhere to pull them from, I guess, but they are being pushed to VOD ahead of time.
Well, some of them are.
Yeah.
So I think it's a very select group of movies that are being sort of selected for this sort of thing, mostly because they were in theaters right now, and there was no way to go see them anymore. So
yeah,
your options for getting them out there in front of the public eye were VOD pretty much.
And it comes down to like, oh, well, some people saw this, and some people who might have seen it didn't see this. So what are we going to do now?
Yeah, so we watched The Hunt.
Yes.
Paid $20 for it to watch it at home. And I think that it's a interesting idea for where we'll be in the future, but I also wouldn't get too comfortable with it because basically how the movie industry works is that you give the theaters an exclusive window to show them in theaters before you can put it out on DVD or VOD or anything like that, so that the theaters can make their buck before you go out and try. Because if everyone knows that the DVD will come out in 2 weeks, then nobody would go see the movie in theaters, you know?
Well, I mean, I think some people still would. We still would. I like the theater viewing experience of like being there and going to do it.
Right, but I mean, like the number of people, like if you don't see a movie, if you knew that it was going to be on VOD in 2 weeks and you missed it in its first week, you might do that like, well, I don't have to go this week.
I mean, I think that I might focus on seeing movies in theaters that I knew weren't going to be at VOD in a week. Because like sometimes it gets real packed and it's like, what are we going to see?
Well, I mean, like, so it's the same logic with like, you know, all the Netflix movies that get pushed to theaters. Like, it was hard for me to rationalize going to go see The Irishman in theaters.
Yeah.
Because I could only see it at places that I'd have to pay exorbitant fees for it. Like, you know, like Alamo's not cheap. ArcLight's not cheap. Mm-hmm. I'd have to go to one of those theaters pretty much.
Also, it was 4 hours long.
Also, like literally 2 weeks away, I could watch it at home.
Yeah.
So like it changed. It didn't do well in the box office because people knew it was coming home. So
and the big screen viewing experience wouldn't make up for that. But then there are some movies that just are much better on the big screen.
I mean, I'd want to see a Fast and the Furious movie on
Sure.
the big screen.
There's no way it's not better. And
Yeah.
I mean, as much as I hate saying it, Prime is for Fast and the Furious movies. Just the good screen, the good sound.
Or the Dolby. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't think that will end. But let's say that every major movie was available on VOD 2 weeks after it came out. Do you really think that you would go see less movies?
I mean, I think I would still go see the same number of movies, maybe a little bit less, but I would probably. I mean, it depends on the price point too, because I mean, like if it's AMC where I can go and see it for the monthly fee that I pay for, and I'm sort of seeing movies for free at a certain point once I've gone to a certain number.
Here in LA, that's the second movie that we see for free. Yeah.
My 1.5 movie, like basically every one of them is free. So
Yeah.
I think that if it's see it at home and pay $20, then I'd rather go see it at the theater.
Yeah.
But that's the problem. That's the calculation. Because like the reason why theaters have been opposed to doing this, besides the windowing problem, is just that how much money can you possibly make on VOD to make up for the fact that you're not going to get the theatrical window? Like, and honestly, I think that this is a thing for maybe a decade from now when you have like a Disney Plus service where it's like you could pay $10 a month or whatever for the regular Disney Plus, or you could pay $50 for the Plus, and the day Avengers comes out, you can watch it on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Or like, like whatever the case may be.
But again, I think Avengers is a movie where I would want to see it in the theater. Just like the nice projector and the good sound makes a difference in watching a movie like that.
Oh yeah, but I'm saying like there's going to be a market for that like there's a market in the parents saying like, please Disney, take my money.
That's also true.
Because I have children. If you could say Toy Story 5 is available today and you don't have to go to the theaters with the kids, they could just watch it at home all day. Somebody's going to say that's worth $600 a year, And
I mean, logically, we saw it for $5 a person. So that's, even though it's $20 for it, and we would usually be able to go see it at AMC for free, it levels on basically free. And if we weren't under quarantine, we could have maybe invited over 2-3 more people, and now we bring that price down to $2.50 a person.
Yeah.
Which is less than we were going to spend on refreshments there. So.
Right. And you get the ability to like sort of stop it if you need to. You can, like, oh shit, I got a call. Like, whatever the case may be. Like,
and we had it for 48 hours. So if you didn't feel like you got it the first time around.
Well, I mean, Roberto had to go through a second screening where he was examining all the guns.
See, now you're making arguments for why I don't want VOD. I don't want it on VOD. But so, I mean, I guess we'll see. You brought up in the pre-show meeting that this was an idea years ago that Sean Parker had for an in-home viewing experience.
Yeah.
And some people still have that. I think Adam Carolla has it, if I remember correctly.
It was not very popular. I think it sort of went out into like a beta, and they tried it. And, like when they did the Google Glass beta, and it was like, these cost $20,000. And it's like, well, I'll wait till it's not in beta.
Well, and so then people like Adam Carolla have it. I think he says on again, last time I listened to his podcast, he pays like $125 a movie to watch it first week at his house.
I thought it was 50, but it might be higher than that.
It might have just gone up because less people use it. And then Adam's just like, I don't give a shit. Like $125 is nothing to me, and I have a home theater. I'd rather just watch it at my house instead of carting all my kids out and their friends out to the movie theater. So
yeah, and I mean, like, if you're rich enough that you can afford to pay, for the convenience of being able to see it at home, then I guess it works out.
And you don't have to worry about infecting your whole family with corona.
Well, so real quick, just before we get out of this, I did hear rumors, and I don't know how legitimate these rumors are, but if corona were to continue later in the year than people thought, that Warner might do Wonder Woman 84 on
VOD.
streaming, on VOD, like they did with Hunt. So they didn't release the Hunt, but Universal did. But I'm saying like Warner would do the same thing, and that one I think would be the interesting test case, because that's a big movie that a lot of people would want to go see in theaters if they release it on VOD. And maybe this is just sort of like we're never going to make our money back on this sort of thing, in a theatrical window. So why don't we just release it on VOD and use it as like a test case, and sort of see how it works. Like, I think that might be interesting. That would be the one to watch. See how much sales are on that.
I would, however, be disappointed because, again, Wonder Woman's the one that I want to go see on the big screen with the premium everything.
Yeah.
So, or maybe they do both. They release it on VOD, and then 9 weeks later, when we can finally go back to the theater, they release it again. And
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
Hey, everybody, you like this? You want to see it in a much better format? Come to the theater and pay $19 to see it.
I mean,
Sorry, AMC, no plus or no stubs.
it would be really tough to figure out if that would actually work. But somebody would need to do something like Wonder Woman to figure it out. So keep in mind, or just keep an eye out for it. See what happens. On to the more pressing news.
Yes.
The corona everywhere.
Yes. And I am dying.
Well, we don't know that for sure yet.
Sure. I don't have a positive test.
Let's wait until I poke you with a stick a couple times before we make that kind of a judgment.
I enjoy, though, that I talked to my doctor, and she was just like, you know what? Unfortunately, you don't qualify for the test to see whether or not you have the thing. And I'm like, I don't qualify for the test.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. How would I qualify for the test? Well, you got to be in the ER, or we have to be like ready to admit you from urgent care. Okay, so what you're saying is I have to be real sick. Oh, professional. So what you're saying is I have to be real sick in order for me to find out why I am real sick.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, basically. Okay, cool. So what should I do in the meantime? Like, okay, don't let it. Honestly, now that I think about it, it was a lot like a pregnancy. Don't let it go too far before you go to the hospital, but you also don't want to go too soon. So just, as a layman, find that window where you think it's very serious, but not too serious, and not too not serious either.
Yeah.
Like, okay, thanks, doc. I'll work on that.
I sort of heard, like, if it feels like the flu, then see if you can ride it out. If it feels like pneumonia, then go to.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But like pneumonia doesn't have like a feel to it per
I was
se.
gonna say, I've
other
never
than,
had
like,
pneumonia, so I don't even know what it feels
Yeah.
like. But I was describing symptoms, and she was just like, "Yeah, based on your social history, your recent social history, and your symptom description, I would say you're high risk for having it. But the problem is, we were also at a time where a common cold or a flu mixed with seasonal allergies, which I do have already, could produce these symptoms. So as long as you can ride it out at home, just ride it out at home." I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going to do that. So I've gone for a walk on 3 consecutive days.
Yep.
I feel like that's helped with the breathing. I got my handy dandy mask. I've already infected the roommates, so
nothing I can do.
I may be patient zero around the place here, but otherwise pushing through and just trying to keep track of very important numbers like 41,000 people.
Yeah.
In confirmed cases. And I love that I got this number from the CDC. There's a star next to it, and I was like, I wonder what that star could be. So I scrolled down to the very bottom. 41,000 confirmed cases
that we know of
by testing. Yes. And with a note that said testing was not widely available before some date that was like a week ago. So they're basically saying, like, we have no idea because there's people like, Rob sitting at home who may have it, but we're not going to confirm.
Well, on top of that, we also have the 485 deaths in America.
Yes.
From that, on top of the 16,000 deaths globally and the 367,000 cases globally.
And the thing is, I said that to someone earlier on Twitter, and I just felt like in one of my fake accounts, not my main account. What is a Finsta, but on Twitter? I have a lot of those. But and it was just like, well, yeah, that's such a low death percentage. I'm like, yeah, but if you were one of the 485, you'd have some questions about, like, or if you're a family member, I guess.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have questions.
Right.
But your family member would be like, hey,
I'm good.
And we had our 2 youngest confirmed cases this week. An infant who may or may not have been born with the disease, passed from mother, or it may have been like passed in the birthing process. And a 34-year-old, which was insanely scary, in Echo Park right here in LA. But someone who had literally just finished chemo for I'd beat cancer, and then the compromised immune system could not deal with coronavirus. So one of those sad things. And I was like, Wait. You say 34?
Yeah.
And then like I'm like, I got to read the whole story. I can't just go with the thing and you read down. You're like, oh yeah, compromised immune system, and doctors didn't treat it with the respect they should have because they were like, this guy is young and looks relatively healthy. He's going to be fine. And I guess he didn't mention I just beat cancer. But anyway, problematic. But we should be all right. We're young-ish and relatively healthy, so it should be okay. And really, all it's doing is just pissing me off, basically.
Okay.
Because we get stories like we did last week from the Baltimore Police Department /
State's Attorney's
Office. Yeah. You found the story. Go ahead. I don't want to try. I conserve my energy. I can't be yelling at
Well,
the state's attorney.
So basically, there's a lot of people in jail who are in for non-violent offenses, and the state's attorney's office decided that we're just going to drop all these cases.
Yeah.
And just let all these people go because it doesn't benefit us to have a whole bunch of like otherwise healthy people in the jail getting all sick.
Yeah. Less bodies. Less
Yeah.
bodies in the prison. The prison that's being run by the BGF.
Yeah.
You know.
So that's good that a bunch of people were just let off.
Yeah.
I mean, sort of. I mean, like, I kind of wish that it wasn't everybody because I feel like there was probably a couple bad apples in the bunch, if you will.
Yeah. But remember,
So I would have liked it if it was more of a case by case.
our system is built so that 12 guilty men go free for one innocent man spends a day in prison. And what I take from this is, yes, there were probably some bad apples. They got them on a minor charge, but that's because they haven't been able to make a major charge stick yet.
Yeah.
Work better on the major charges, and then that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But to me, I just see in that, what you're saying is none of these people should have been in jail to begin with. Because if they're safe enough for society now, they were safe enough 2 weeks ago, and 2 months ago, and a year ago. And you've just decided that in the event of a crisis, we're going to let them out.
You can make the argument really that just judging off of sort of like the cash bail system and how that whole thing has been playing itself out, that most people, regardless of whether or not they pay bail, will come back to court. Like, it doesn't behoove anybody to not come because you just get a bench warrant if you don't show up.
And people who put up bail and run still put up bail and run. They don't care.
They just have their parents' house as collateral, and then
they convince someone to put up collateral for them.
Yeah,
because they manipulate people as people, drug addicts or drug dealers do, and then they run anyway. But then you get somebody who's like a normal tax-paying American who's going to say, if I put up bail or not, I'm still going to show up for court. It doesn't really matter either way. But
I mean, like, there's just a ton of these that are just flying out the window. Like, the people were all of a sudden able to bring more Purell onto the plane.
12 ounces all of a sudden. Although, by the way, Purell has kind of the same consistency as the prerequisites to plastic explosives. So if I brought Purell and another smaller 3-ounce jug of something else and mix them together, not Purell, but something that looked like Purell, mix them together, it's the same danger. By the way, 3 ounces and 3 ounces is also dangerous. It doesn't matter. It's a bullshit rule. But alcohol deliveries in Maryland.
That's one I really like, is that there's a lot of places that are struggling because they're closed to the dine-in audience. And a lot of bars have been given permission for the time being that if somebody orders food, they can also order a drink to go.
You can't order just drinks.
Right.
But you can order drinks
If I called up High Tops, I could order a burger and a margarita, and I could take those both to go and take them home and eat them and drink the margarita. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't allowed to do this a couple weeks ago because of Maryland law. And I wouldn't even be able to buy liquor from someplace on Sunday.
Right. I was say places like the Firehouse that have to have the store and the bar separate because that makes sense somehow.
Right.
But that rules out the window now too because the store has to close. No, the bar has to close, but the store can remain open because alcohol sales are essential. Yeah. I love America so much. Oh, by the way, I don't know if you saw Gavin Newsom
the number of things that are essential. By the way,
Gavin Newsom clarified
marijuana sales are essential services.
Oh, good.
So no concerns about that.
We're gonna have some angry potheads on our.
And I just gonna say, I forget what comedian posted it, but it was just like, if we made weed, I guess where it applies, because he's in California, so he said weed, alcohol, caffeine and nicotine. If we outlawed that for 1 week, you'd have to bring out the tanks. And that's what they're like, oh shit. Okay, so we've made a grievous error here. How can we adjust it? You can deliver alcohol so long as there's also food. Including, by the way, a story from Louisiana that some place was doing buy a slider, 35-ounce margarita, and you pay, strangely, the cost of a 35-ounce margarita if you bought it in store. Very weird. And they were delivering it to you if you lived in the neighborhood of the bar. And I'm just like, so we're just making shit up.
People are getting the slider and they're just like, yeah, fuck that.
We literally are just making things up as we go along. And I guess that's fine for, people, but I feel like a government should probably have its shit together more than that. But blue laws are out the door.
I'll say this, just because we're about to get into Trump stuff in a little bit here. Yeah. I think that what's amazing to me is I'm watching speeches from governors. So, like, Gavin Newsom was on TV a couple days ago. I watched his. Mm-hmm. I've been seeing Larry Hogan's pop up on my Facebook and stuff like that. I've seen Cuomo a lot. And all these guys are doing a tremendous job of not only, like, sort of showing strength, but, like, we got this.
Yeah.
Newsom, we can make fun of these people all we want for different things. But, I mean, like, at least in this regard, Newsom is sort of like, we've been planning for something like this to happen for a while. Not like we thought it was going to happen, but we were preparing ourselves for the eventuality.
Yeah. Garcetti as well, for what it's worth. Garcetti has looked like he's in control of the situation. Better
right.
than de Blasio, anyway.
And I mean, like, it's a sharp contrast from how Trump has been acting throughout this whole process. And I mean, like, I feel like, we want to go all partisan all these days about, like, like, if you say an unkind word about Trump, then you're not a real Republican or something like that. But, like, look at, Hogan. Look at other Republicans in states all across the country who are stepping up and doing the right thing. And, like, Ron DeSantis in Florida, another Republican governor who was just, like, begging people to get off the beach.
Yeah.
Like, don't make me send the cops out and, like,
I will send the
Spring
National Guard out there. But by the way, I hate that I'm so jaded because while you're talking, I'm remembering that, like, oh yeah, you're right. There's so much power. It made me feel so like I was safe, and then the thought occurred, and now I can't get rid of it. Oh yeah, all these guys are running in 2024, so they're just putting themselves out there as strong executives to run in 2024. It has nothing to do with people or caring about people or anything else. I mean, maybe a little bit of it, but most of it is I need to get out in front of this and be America's governor, so that when I run for president in 4 years, that I'll be that guy.
You know what? Trump can't really pull this off anyway, but I would say one of the things that I feel like has really separated some of these governors, and it's a weird, like, mental trick your mind plays on you, is that, like, Newsom looks good in a suit. Like, he's a good-looking guy. He's trim. Like, he's got a good body for a suit.
He looks good not in a suit, though, too.
Oh, I know. But I'm saying, like, when he comes out with the suit on, you're just, like, confidence. You're just like, this guy knows what's up because he's put together.
Yeah.
And then there's, like, Hogan you see in the suit. And then also recently you've seen him a lot in, like, this, like, tactical vest.
Yeah.
Like this Maryland-themed tactical vest with, like, the logo. Like, it's, like, the National Guard logo.
I got a lot of pockets. I'm doing things.
Yeah, like, I didn't have time for the whole suit. I just put on my tactical vest today. And it's like he looks like a sheriff in a small town. Like, who, like the guy who really knows what he's, like, the one who keeps the whole town together.
It's 100% small town sheriff. As you're talking, I'm realizing my sheriff.
Yeah.
I'm getting the sense of safety of, like, being 12 and seeing the sheriff, like, oh, we had a flood or we had a tornado come through, but I see the sheriff there with his blue vest on.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, we're all right.
There's a man in control.
He actually lived around the corner from me. So, like, it was very much like, I know you and I know I'm cool now.
Right.
God, these guys. Really good PR guys. Really good PR guys.
I was saying the problem with Trump is that no matter what, he's got to show up in that dumpy ass suit. Like, he never looks like You never watch Trump like walk into a room and just be like, "Man, look at that dynamic go-getter." Like
If you do get swept away in a flood, though, that tie is like 9 feet long. He could throw it to you and pull you back
it's
in.
a grappling hook.
Yeah, it's fine. But one thing he doesn't have a very good handle on is the economy, which is funny because, that's how he got elected.
That's why we were letting him get away with so much shit for so long. Jesus Christ.
By the way, I just love another thing. Seeing my super Republican friends say positive things about Gavin Newsom and Cuomo and just being like, I'm not going to interrupt you, but I'm thinking this and you don't know this. You don't know he's a Democrat. And I am really, really torn about whether or not I should tell you that. Because maybe you'll vote for a Democrat in 2024 if that's the case. But people who were like spouting all the pro-Trump stuff 3 months ago.
Yeah.
And are now just saying the same thing you're saying. Like, oh, yeah, like Hogan is super strong and I see strong governors standing up all over. Like, don't hear a lot of Trump stuff from you. And that's because what you were saying 3 months ago was, listen, foreign policy, Secretary of State, none of that matters. The economy is stronger than it's ever been. My job is secure. About that.
Yeah, so I don't even know where the stock market is right now. I know it was like 18 the last I saw it, but I think it had a humongous drop since then.
Well, here's the problem.
Who even knows?
During the day, it dropped and rose, huge amounts, and then fell again. I think it fell again at the end of the day. So here we go. NYSE current blue chip
18.5 on the Dow Jones.
Down a big red number.
Yeah.
There's a big red number next to it.
Well, let's see.
Was this just the day? Is that graph the day? Oh
Here's 5 years.
Woo.
So we got Trump here at
Yeah.
2016.
Almost back down there.
Up near, in the general area of 20,000.
Yep.
Around Election Day. And then steady rise all the way up towards 30 where Corona hit. And
Yep.
then a precipitous drop. God, that's almost a 50% drop.
I think, though, that your point last week about the volatility of the markets, given the AI running it, that day, the up, down, over the course of the day, just ridiculous.
I mean, so part of the problem is that like there's a lot of people who are right now understandably nervous about the how their stock portfolio looks. And I think there's a lot of people making nervous trades right now, and the AI seems to be picking up on it.
Yeah.
And seems to be realizing when a number is getting pushed on a short term because of like over anxious trading.
Yep.
And then being able to divest of their interest in that and be able to pick it back up later once it drops down. I mean, Trump was for a while there the king of this actual move where he would
taking
say
advantage of it. Yeah.
he would say, he used to do it sort of in the reverse, though. He would wait until a company was doing really terrible. He'd buy a bunch of their stock.
Yeah.
And then he'd say, I'm thinking about buying United. And then
Already
they would
having bought it.
yeah. And then the stock would go crazy because people are just like, oh, my God, Trump's thinking about buying United. And then it would go up and up and up and up, and then he'd sell.
Yeah.
And, like, he would just, like, wait for it to go up a little bit and then sell it off. And then sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. But, yeah, I mean, the problem is that we're everything from in that 5-year gap that I was talking about is I don't have a definitive number to put on it, but I'm going to say like somewhere in the area of probably 80% of trades feel like they're happening.
Yep.
And like huge, big money dynamic buys by AI and people who are running said AI in like sheds in New Jersey, basically.
But
like,
they're running a whole fund, so they have billions of dollars that they can invest at any one time. And so they can make $1 million moves divesting. And then, like I said, if you have a computer that's fast enough, you can bet or divest at the high point, bet against the fall, and then reinvest when it falls just enough. And now you've made profit at all 3 stages of that cycle.
Right.
And that day graph shows me divestiture, betting against, and then buying back, which causes a rally, and then divesting, betting against, and just it's going to keep repeating as long as we let machine learning run. And we can't blame the damn machines. They're doing exactly what they were programmed to do.
Yeah.
And without traders on the floor, this is the only thing that's controlling the market.
well, but the problem is that the traders on the floor aren't like all the traders on the floor are not equal to what a computer is doing on its own. Like
Yep.
that's part of the problem, and nobody knows exactly what the computer is doing on its. So, I mean, like, part of what happened with the stock collapse, like way back in
97?
no
31?
31, yeah. Is that it was like people basically panicked.
Yeah.
Like
You see somebody
everybody-
selling, and you're like,
everybody
he knows something.
sold at the same exact fucking time, and nobody was buying, and the whole thing just collapsed. I don't imagine that we're going to get to that same level, but you never know if the machine is just have some sort of like kill structure involved if it falls too far,
But again, the
Like-
thing that we learned in the 1920s is that it doesn't kill the economy; it just kills capital,
Yeah.
which might be killing the economy if the Republicans get their way and they want to give all the bailout money only to capital and none to labor. So,
I mean, it's a complicated thing to thread.
now
Because-
wait.
Hold on.
You're saying that the economy's complicated
Well-
because Trump seemed to make it seem like it was very easy.
Well, no, I mean, like, just sort of speaking about the dueling bills that are being worked out in the Congress and the Senate right now. Obviously, the Republican version is very pro-business, and the Democratic version is very pro-labor. I think that there needs to be there will be a time where these two sides need to come together and be a little bit bipartisan for a change.
Sure.
And actually sort of meet in the middle here somewhere. But I would say that there are things that each side wants that they're going to have to like just give up.
yeah,
Like, for instance, part of the Democratic plan was there would be a lot of restrictions on how the business could operate if they took a 0% interest loan from the government. So say you're Delta, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you take a large loan at 0% interest from the government to get through this period of time. You got to keep 90% of your employees. You have to freeze CEO pay or like high-end pay for 2 years. And then there's also 5 years of no stock buybacks or dividends or anything like that. And some of that makes sense. But I mean, like,
lessons
it's like
learned from The Big Short.
like I feel like stock buybacks is an easy one because that does nothing but artificially inflate the value of the company that you own.
Yeah.
But I mean, dividends is like one of those ones that I don't know if I would necessarily like, because you're kind of lumping in people who own stocks as the one who gets punished there, like, as opposed to the business itself. You don't want them spending money on dividends when they're firing their entire workforce.
Right.
But I don't think you should necessarily punish somebody from one of these companies giving money back to investors if they are in a place where they can do so.
Yes. But again,
there would need to
learning-
be restrictions in place to when you would be allowed to give those dividends.
learning the lessons from 2008 and I guess 2012 in a minor degree, just saying what the companies did is they made massive profits after the bailouts.
Yeah.
Increased CEO and board pay. And then when they didn't pay a dividend, we're like, oh, where are we going to come up with dividends? All right, we're going to fire a bunch of people
Yeah.
and then use that money to pay dividends. So although it doesn't seem fair to the investors, it's a way of saying if you have to keep the workforce and you can't pay dividends and you have to lock it, like locks every single gate that
Right.
the force got out the last time.
Right. But I'm saying like there's a lot of people right now who might not be struggling in the sense that like they have the next couple months paid for. They have enough money in the bank that they can survive without maybe having to go to work for a little while. And these people might also own stocks, and the value of their stock portfolio probably went down by 50% or more in
Yeah.
the last couple years here. So, or in the last couple weeks here. So it's hard for us to really say that these people shouldn't be allowed to see some sort of income from the money that they put in pre-corona back. But I do think, like it shouldn't be just like a general like throw out dividends. It should be if you can have dividends if you only meet these particular points.
Well, maybe though this is a smart move because they're putting something out there that they're willing to give on, which it seems like a lot of the people who I stand on the side of just don't do. They ask for the three things that they really want, and nothing else, and then they're forced to give
Right.
up something they want in a negotiation. So maybe it's a smart way to do it.
I mean, I'm willing to see where this goes, but the problem is that I'm not.
Problem is it's dead in the water because
Well,
Mitch
no,
McConnell's not
I
going to
mean,
do it.
The problem is that we're dealing with so many people who are like, it was the David Plouffe line, like never let a good scandal get away from you.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like the Republicans see an opportunity here to take one more like win for Wall Street and big business, and say that what they're doing is helping Americans, and nobody's going to pay attention, kind of thing. But at the same time, I don't like we talked about cowardly Democrats, and I just feel like they're out there more than ever because they're probably getting calls from their constituents going, I live in Los Angeles. How the fuck am I supposed to pay rent? Like,
Yeah.
And
But the law is getting rolled back. There are no more evictions in California.
right, but
So they'll kick you the fuck out eventually, but right now you're good.
but I mean, like New York went through like a rent freeze or what was it like where basically this month doesn't count for mortgages and rent.
Yeah.
Like
Forgiveness. I guess it's forgiveness, but
it was another term they used for it. But I mean, like essentially, like this month doesn't count. You're living rent free for this month only, and we're gonna figure it out. But you don't have to write a check to your landlord.
is it a holiday? Not a holiday.
Well, I mean, like I guess a tax holiday is kind of like what they would do on a business side. Like if you were given an exemption for a while.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to remember. I know I read the story about it.
But I mean, like that's how they would get the trade on the other side is basically, whatever you would be getting in rent for that 1 month that you're not collecting.
Yeah.
Like, our building, like they would be able to say, like you're going to get that amount sort of forgiven in taxes you owe.
Yeah.
For the time that you weren't able to collect. And it should work out evenly, and you don't have to kick people out, and there doesn't have to actually be the physical exchange of
Yeah, you're gonna get the money. It's like any tax break. You're gonna get the money eventually.
Right.
Buy the car now, and then when you file taxes next year, you'll get some money back.
Right.
And it'll make the car much cheaper, but only in the long term, not right now.
Yeah.
But some people were more about making their money right now, and some of those people are fucking senators. Of the United States.
So, let's tell me at what point you hear a crime. Okay, Rob?
Go ahead. Yeah, let's do this.
Richard Burr is one of the chairs of the what is
House
it?
Intel Committee.
House Intel Committee.
Senate Intel Committee.
Senate, yeah, obviously. He gets the same security briefings that Trump gets every single day. And in January, he was warned that Corona is coming to the U.S. There is absolutely nothing we can do to stop it. It will hit. And how prepared we are is the difference in how many lives we save and how hard we get slammed.
Okay. Yeah. No crime yet.
Right. He took that information and he sold up to $1.8 million worth of stock.
Yeah.
And then he went on Fox News and told everyone it's going to be fine. Don't worry. This is a big hoax. You shouldn't concern yourself with it. And then he went to a fundraising thing where he told a bunch of high dollar donors that they should really prepare for their Corona thing because it's going to ravish the economy. And then went back on Fox News and said it's no big deal. I don't understand what the big fuss is. Everyone should go out to a restaurant. And then it all came exposed this week. So,
yes. Yeah. I'm going to say the moment you do something with information you have that no one else has, that's when the crime gets committed. Unless you're a Republican in government. Then I can't say that any crime's actually been committed.
Well, his argument was I was only going off of the publicly known information at the time. And I guess you could make the argument that there was some people who knew about Corona in January.
I bought a mask.
Yeah?
I anticipated it.
Maybe Burr was doing the same thing as were, but
I don't think Burr is as smart as me. I'm just going to go off and say a Republican senator is probably not as smart as I am. And he probably doesn't have the forethought that I do. So I'm going to defer to he used insider information to make money.
the way I know that he's guilty is that he opened himself up for a investigation by the Senate Financial.
Yeah.
Like,
Can we do this before November? That would be fantastic. Can we just get this wrapped up?
I mean, do you want to do it tomorrow afternoon? I mean, just a couple questions. I didn't do anything,
I'm ready
right?
to
We're
testify.
good. Bye.
Yeah. But yeah, now is him not fighting it is almost evidence of guilt. Because it's like I want this group that let Trump off to be my judge and jury.
Yeah.
Can we get to that? That'd be fantastic.
Well, the other one is Loeffler. I can't remember where she's from and what her first name is.
Georgia is what I think you said earlier.
I believe that was correct.
And she was appointed to a seat. She didn't actually run and win the seat.
Right.
For maybe her husband.
Kelly Loeffler.
Kelly, yeah.
Oh, Georgia. Yeah, she was born in Illinois. That's what threw me off.
Steel trap.
Her husband, just in case you were wondering what kind of know-nothing job he must have if your wife's a senator, is the chairman and CEO of the New York Stock Exchange. And much like Mr. Burr, she also rid herself of a lot of stock and decided to buy some telecom, specifically telecom relating to video communication that people are using extensively during this corona.
There's nothing about corona that would suggest that telecom stock would go up.
Well, the other really interesting thing is that technically speaking, when she joined the Senate, she put all of her assets into a blind trust.
Right.
Which to people who don't know is like, I'm going to be a senator. I can't manage my own stocks because people will say I'm pulling the levers for the things that I want to
what Burr
benefit
should
me.
have done with his stock.
So I give it to Rob, and I say, Rob, manage my money while I'm senator.
Great. Now, if only
and
I had information.
There
that would
should
help
be
me.
hypothetically, in a real world scenario where everyone should be trusted, there would be a Chinese wall between us. Where I could have conversation with Rob, I could have conversations with him about the stock market, but I can't specifically say, thinks now is a good time to drop all my Ford stock because I'm about to have the CEO next week for a sit down.
It's going to be
it's going to be a bad day for Ford.
Yeah.
That is against the law. That is the violation of the Chinese wall. But yeah, we'll see. Loeffler's thing, the interesting part of hers was it was put in the blind trust, and there was never a sale. No stock had been moved at any point.
Right up until now.
And then all of a sudden in January, a lot of stock moves at once. And you know what? There was, I'll say this because the information was moving kind of fast this weekend. I may have said a couple unkind words about other senators who were sort of involved in the story during the first part. For instance, Dianne Feinstein, who has negative things about in private. I guess I don't know why she's a bitch. I don't care. But
oh man,
she also sold a lot of stock in January, but actually all of hers was telecom, so she lost that. So the argument that she was doing this to enrich herself,
however,
she made a pretty bad gamble if that was her.
There were supposed to be hearings on internet freedom, right? Isn't that coming back up again?
No, they don't want to touch that shit.
I felt like there was hearings scheduled for this spring. Like,
no,
maybe not.
We're in the period right now where it's let's keep anything relating to do with net neutrality or anything related to it off the public eye.
Yeah. P.S.
Because right now we're doing nice things. Like if you're a Verizon customer, you get Disney Plus for free, or you get Spotify if you sign up for T-Mobile.
By the way, I don't know if you got the message of unlimited calling. So I have unlimited calling anyway to Verizon customers, who is basically everybody I know.
Yeah.
But I got a text specifically from them that said, all calling during this period will be considered unlimited calling. So they're not charging me for any of the like 4 phone calls I make a month to the Postmates driver who has T-Mobile. But yeah, so I mean, like there's a lot of nice stuff going on. But listen, guys, imagine if you could work from home during Corona, but only if you had connectivity that would allow you to dynamically work your job from home.
Yeah.
And, whatever company you chose hadn't paid whatever bill that AT&T or Verizon or Google or Comcast had thought was due. So they slowed your bandwidth. and your boss just says, listen, you can't video chat because you don't have the bandwidth. You can't run your whatever special portal that we have from home. So I need you to come in. That is the difference between net neutrality and non-net neutrality. Could be your very life if you're not allowed to work from home or not. So don't be like me. Don't just keep going to work.
I think I got the black lung pop.
You were in those mines for one day, Derek. Come back after 30 years. God, I love that line.
Yeah. I joke, but I really feel kind of slap happy right now.
Last thing, just a little bit more on Trump before we get out of here.
Sure.
I don't get why. I mean, there's a lot of conversations that have been happening, a lot of articles that have been written about how medical experts have been walking up to him and telling him very directly what he needs to say, and then him not saying that.
Oh, I like the face palm at the back of the.
Yeah.
He's like, oh.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he also had a statement where he's just like, I can't tackle him in front of the mic. I can't tackle the mic away from him. Like, what am I supposed to do? I have to wait until I'm called up there, and then I'm just like, yeah. So lots of great stuff by the president, but a couple things I'd like to point out.
P.S. You could tackle him only once, but you could do it.
We'd let you get away with it.
I mean, what jury is going to convict you? Now, to be fair, you'll be black bagged and sent to Guantanamo, and you'll never actually get a jury. But what jury would convict you?
Well, there's also the thing with the DOJ is trying to throw out due process.
Oh, yes. That's the dirty side of the bullshit laws that don't apply. Apparently, they're treating the Constitution like bullshit laws.
My favorite part of the, when there's a horrible situation like this is the one person who's just like, how evil can I get right now? Like, what? Should we just say the no due process anymore, and we'll decide when it comes back, and then never let it come back? Or?
Yeah. And we did it before during the Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
Lincoln did it. And the argument from all sides in Congress at that point was, this is very dangerous. And we're setting a precedent where at some point, some president may say, this is as dangerous as the Civil War and we should do this. And here we are. And Donald Trump is the one. Abraham Lincoln, I just want you to know from the great beyond, you have given Donald Trump the authority to take away due process.
I'm amazed, too, during these daily press conferences that he's having now. Because he can't have rallies.
Yeah.
How horrible he is at this. It just purely from there's a reporter lobbing you the softest of softballs, and you decide to take this opportunity to fucking slam it.
Yeah.
Spike the ball in his face. The one reporter is just like, what do you say to all the people who are worried and they don't have, they just got fired from their jobs and they don't know how they're going to pay their bills? And be like, you're an awful reporter. That's a terrible question. It's just like, no, man, come on.
That was the setup to whatever line you practiced before you came out here.
All you have to do is be like, I hurt so hard for all the Americans who are going through any kind of pain right now. Clinton was so good at this.
Yes.
All he had to do.
Bill, not Hillary. Not Hillary. Hillary very bad at this.
Hillary would hear about your problems and tell you about you have to have Pokemon go to the polls. Sorry you have corona. If only you would have Pokemon gone to the polls. Am I president yet? This
is how I do.
Am I there yet?
Yeah.
All right.
Isn't this a coronation?
Well, speaking of places where you can't vote for presidential elections and where you can go.
Not yet.
Not yet. Just wait.
People that judges are hard at work on
net
it.
neutrality. One of these days.
Anyway, where's that?
TheAnthem.com. Corey to TheAnthem.com. At The Anthem on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the listener line, 443-219-7595.
What's that number again?
443-219-7595. You can find more of me at my website, CoreyBakerFilmmaker.com, Facebook.com/CoreyBakerFilm, and at LegendsCB5 on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. I just did a review for The Hunt. Trying out a little something different. I'll tell you about this after the fact.
Okay.
See what your thoughts are. But
is it doing a good review and not a pretentious one?
It's a normal Corey Baker review, so I guess if you want to call that pretentious, then pretentious it is.
Here's my favorite thing. Corey is so brave on camera and on mic, but then you get those moments where I know he's one, you should know that I'm just teasing you.
Yeah.
Always. But then he's just like, so, like, do you really think that it's super pretentious? And like, no, I'm just like busting your balls about it. Like, the whole thing is just, oh, okay. All right. Okay. Cool.
Well, I mean, like, I worry sometimes because, like, there's that. Sometimes when people get super famous, like, nobody's telling Kanye West he can't do something.
And they
And,
should.
like,
They absolutely should.
Kanye's like, yo, I'm going to have the vocals just all be goats. Like, everyone around him's just like, great idea, Kanye.
Yeah.
It's like, I would want at least the one person if you're constantly saying, like, like, your shit's pretentious. And I'm just like, are you seriously? I just want to check. I just want to make sure. I don't want to be Kanye over here just making my goat thing. And
it has to be pretentious because on the other side of that is the non-pretentious ones. That's the only thing.
Which one? I mean,
The Everyman movie review.
Oh.
But here, finish your thing first. Go ahead. You were saying something.
No, it's just go see the Hunt review. It's up, and yeah, I'm gonna be doing more reviews of the back catalog. I think here shortly.
CoreyBakerFilmmaker.com.
Corey Baker, I did that one already.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
Oh, I
but
must have missed that.
CoreyBakerFilmmaker.com. What do I?
I'm a little slap happy. So yeah. So forgive me. Anyway, now you can find more of me at Robert N. Cheek on all your social networks. Make sure you check out Robert N. Cheek. Oh wait, no, you can't. RobertNCheek.com is down for a while. I have to teach myself Dreamweaver because I have time to do that. But you can find the Everyman movie reviews, which are the non-pretentious movie reviews. They're for every man. That's why I called it that. At youtube.com/Rob Cheek. You can check out the books on Amazon.
Barrow's Books.
Thank you. Amazon authors page. Just search for Robert N. Cheek, and you'll find that. All those links are available on all the social media. I felt like there was something else. Oh yeah, SoundCloud.com/Robert N. Cheek.
Oh
And
yeah,
you
where you can hear Panic at the Costco.
It's so dumb. It's really so dumb. You should not. You absolutely should, but don't. I mean, do, but just know what you're getting into.
I saw earlier this week, just cruising through Facebook as I tend to do. I saw somebody put up another song with fake Corona lyrics.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh God, I hope Rob doesn't find this.
Oh yeah, no.
'Cause
Already
he
working
is-
on the follow up.
He is not going to be able to handle this Bohemian Rhapsody version of the coronavirus.
Galileo.
Coronavirus.
It probably took everything I had. But yeah, so we're working on the follow up, and as soon as my chest congestion here clears up, going to be singing the follow up. But in the meantime, I have another track coming this week, so keep an eye out. SoundCloud.com/Robert N. Cheek.
Hooray.
And it's just as terrible as the first one.
Well, I think we've done good here today.
I disagree. We've done something. I don't know if it's good. But as always, you're listening to the O The Anthem podcast, part of the O The Anthem digital network. For Corey, this is Rob. Have a great week, everybody. Hopefully
Stay safe. Please, everybody, just stay home.
Yes. Do stay home. Oh, yeah. We never even mentioned we're in quarantine here in LA.
Don't be those spring baked douchebags.
Yeah. Don't give us a bad name. You listen to us. You're smart people. Stay at home. Don't be dumb. And don't get sick like me. And if you do,
Just give it to Corey.
just give it to Corey. That's for me. Yeah. So hopefully I'll see you guys next week.
Bye.